What is up, Baggies fans, football fans, and sports fans, to the latest match day review? And it is an absolute brutal take for us today. It's one that I hate doing for us. We've been absolutely destroyed. So before I get into it, smash that like button for me. Let's get 30 likes on this video. 2 subscribers off 700. We did hit it on the live stream and then we've lost 2 subscribers. So let's hit that 700. So smash that subscribe button and hit the bell notification to stay up to date with everything. And of course, Millwall fans, WBA fans, I want to know your thoughts on the game in the comment section down below. And as I said, where do I even begin with this one? Millwall 3, West Bromwich Albion 0. And honestly, the scoreline doesn't flatten them one bit. It was a dreadful day at the office for the Albion, and one of the worst performances I've seen in a long, long time. I'm talking Steve Bruce days, is the sort of performance we put in today. So let's start with really where I thought it went wrong, and that was the team selection. On paper, maybe you could argue it wasn't horrendous. We needed to make some changes. 3 games in a couple of weeks is a lot. They made 7 changes. Yeah, fair enough. But you're professional footballers. You should be able to play football. And from the first whistle, it clear something wasn't right. The shape looked off, the energy levels weren't there, and more importantly, the commitment was completely absent. When you can tell just in the first 5 minutes if the lads are up to it. Well, if it wasn't obvious, nobody seemed interested. No running, no pressing, no urgency. Players backing out of challenges, shying away from the physical side of the game. And against Millwall of all teams, you just cannot afford to do that. When I looked and saw Collier coming in, I thought, yes, great chance for him to come in, take that opportunity now and almost cement that position for him. And he was too slow on the ball. The Championship is a completely different animal to the Premier League. In the Premier League, you'll have 5-10 minutes just to stand on the ball if you want to, with nobody pressing you. Championship at Millwall, at the Den, as soon as you pick that ball up in midfield, they're going to be on you. And he was just too slow moving it. Jed Wallace on the wing. While for the first half, yes, he made some fantastic runs. The run he made when he ran 35, 40 yards, he got to the edge of the box and you're thinking, here we go, an opportunity. And he just ran into somebody and you're like, what are you doing? You know, that whole right side of the flank for me was so disappointing. Campbell again, Wallace just lacked everything down that right side. Heggybo up front, isolated all game. Yes, he's not going to be a goal scorer for us. We can see that now. He holds the ball up, but when he's trying to hold the ball up on his own against 4 players and there's nobody coming to support him, what's the point? It was just, for me, it was awful, awful from the first whistle to the last whistle. I said in my pre-match preview, they lost 4-0. They're going to be up for it. But if we can get in early, get a goal, it's going to cause the fans to get on the back. There was already booing when we were getting chances, and they were struggling a little bit. Get into them, and we just didn't. And we all knew what Millwall were going to bring. They're big, they're strong, they're physical. They're not hiding the fact. They make it obvious. It's how they've played. They'll rough you up. They'll put the ball in the box. And they'll test your bottle. And somehow, despite knowing that, Albion just stood there and let them get on with it. We didn't even attempt to win stuff. This is the problem. We didn't close crosses down. At Norwich, okay, they had Josh Sargent and then they brought the big striker on. You can possibly get away with allowing balls into the box. But with Millwall, no. Why are we doing that? And again, as I say, you look at the goals we conceded, absolutely avoidable. The first one, Styles, why are you letting him? He's got 1 foot. He's always going to cut back in on that foot and try and get a cross in or a shot. And what does he do? He gets a cross in. The first man misses it, and it falls at Jake Cooper, who somehow scored with his foot, let alone, his head, landed at his feet, and it's just a tap in. Second goal, again, the ball's come over the line. Price just backed out of it. Well, didn't even go for a challenge, just let the player walk past him. They hit the ball over the top. And for me, this is, again, probably, it's a fantastic goal. Let's not take anything away from that goal. It was absolutely fantastic, a world beater. But Styles, again, you've let him bring the ball down and cut in on his left foot. Show him the line. It's basic 101 defending. How many times do we have to see this as a defender, that somebody's strong on their left foot as a right winger, they're going to come in. So what do? Show them onto their right foot. It's basic. It's stuff you learn when you're a kid. It's stuff I was taught when I was playing freaking under-9s football, let alone at a professional level. Stop the cross and don't let him cut in on his foot. And again, it's just something that we've been doing for the last couple of games. Leicester, we let crosses into the box, but we got wise to it and we started blocking the crosses. And then at Norwich, we started well doing that, but then we just let them put balls into the box. And again, when you're at Millwall, you can't let them do it. And I do think that both these goals could have been prevented. They really, really could have been prevented. Getting out to the man for the cross, blocking the cross, don't let him cut in. Fantastic, that stops that goal. The second one, it's a hit and hope down the line. Their players pick it up. Don't let him cut in on his left foot, because what is he gonna do? He's gonna cut in and he's gonna hit an absolute screamer of a goal, and that's what he's done, and again, I can't take anything away from that goal because it was absolutely fantastic. I'm sure Baggies fans, you'll agree that that second goal was something special that, it's one of those, it either comes off or it ends up in, rose ed, and it come off, and it was a fantastic one. You got a feel for the fans in this one. It was just, as I say, from the first minute, it was just lackluster, not interested in chasing balls down, not interested in pressing. We just looked completely not interested in the game. Bored, boring, strolling around. Johnson trying to do too much again, taking 3 or 4 players on and then running into a wall of defenders. I get he tries to create stuff for us, but this game, he took 2 or 3 players on and then just did nothing with it. We bring Madger on too late and he doesn't do anything for the game. We bring Ilin Jr. on too late. It's amazing what happens when we bring Mowat and Ilin Jr. on and Madger. We look a team again. For me, this screams that we cannot play football without Mowat in the middle of the park. He dictates the play for us. And I was really hoping that Collier could have taken that place off of him because I know Mowat's legs are starting to struggle. You can see it when he gets to like the 70th minute of the game. He's leggy. And I was really hoping that Collier could grab it and take it, and he just can't. So for me, Mowat has to be the first name on the team sheet now. He has to be. We've got no midfield if he's not playing. And as I say, by the second goal, we look beaten, heads down, no fight. And what's even worse, there was no reaction. Normally, you'd expect some sort of spark after conceding, something to put big tackle, someone to rally the lads, just something. But it never came. Everyone just looked like they wanted the ground to swallow them up. The substitutions, as I say, just far too late. By the time the changes were made, the game was dead, gone, finished. There's no point. One of the best players to come on was the young Bostock, who was on the pitch for 4 minutes and, created more than anybody on the pitch did for 90 minutes. And that says something. He's a kid coming on from an academy, and he's doing more in 4 minutes on the pitch than the whole entire team. It's embarrassing. Absolutely disgraceful performance from the guys. And, I really feel sorry for the fans that went down there. By the time the third goal went in, most of them had gone. There was nobody there left clapping them off pretty much at the end, and I don't blame them. You've travelled all that way, paid all that money. Norwich, okay, fantastic. We got the 3 points, but we looked poor. In the space of 2 days, fans have, probably spent 200-300 quid on travelling, food, programs, everything to go and watch a team, and then they put in a performance like that. It's absolutely diabolical. It's vile, that they can call themselves professional footballers and just stroll around the pitch like that. Disgusting, honestly, absolutely disgusting. They shouldn't hang their heads in shame for this one. It's an international break now, so we don't have to worry about it. Is it one that we'll look back on? I don't think so. I don't think we should even look back on this game. We should just sweep it under the rug and just get rid of it. On the third goal, for me, the keeper has to do better. It's a ball down the line. If he comes out and closes the angle, that the only real option they've got is to dink the ball, which is fair enough. If he dinks the keeper, you won't argue. But to stay on your line, he's running at full speed. He's only going to have one thing, and that's to blast it high. Come out and close him down. That's all you've got to do. And it's just get out to the players. Again, looked fantastic against Norwich Griffiths, but, absolutely crumbled against Millwall. And as I say, it's just a soft, cheap, and it summed up the whole afternoon for us. What's probably the most damning stat of it all, we had 1 shot on target in 90 minutes against a team that conceded 4 midweek. Okay, they could have probably scored 4 themselves in that night, and that's fair enough. But to have 1 shot on target, to not test the keeper properly, think about it, 90 minutes of football and we didn't really test their keeper. It's unacceptable. You can't go away from home and roll over like that and expect anything other than a hammering. And that's what we got. It's embarrassing. Millwall are a good team, don't get me wrong. They're going to be, top mid-table-ish. But they're not world beaters. They play to their strengths. I'm sure Mason would have sat them down and said, listen, they're going to be putting balls in the box. Stop the ball in the box. And for me, it raises serious questions, this performance. Where was the fight? Where was the commitment? You can talk about tactics, you can talk about formations, but when the players are backing out of challenges, jogging instead of sprinting, letting players just go past them, letting runners go and check, it's nothing to do with the system, it's desire. And we didn't have any. And that's the worrying part. We brought leaders in for games like this where, the going's going to get tough. But where were the leaders this game? Null and void, gone. It was just ridiculous. Millwall must have loved it. They didn't even get out of second gear. They bullied us. They bossed us for a single, and we just shrunk. 3-0 in truth. It could have been more if they really wanted to. Because fans, just even if we don't see quality, we want effort. And if they see players running themselves into the ground, flying into tackle, showing some pride for the shirt, even if you lose, you come away from the game and go, you know what, they tried. We put in the performance, but the other team were better. But for Millwall game, none of that. Just 11 blokes going through the motions. They didn't care. So where does this leave us? It's a massive wake-up call for me. Performances like that can't happen again. Players need to take a long, hard look at themselves. The manager has to take responsibility for a poor team set up and late subs. And collectively, the club has to remember who we are. We can't roll over against teams who want it more than us. Millwall wanted it, Albion didn't, and that's the brutal truth. And until we fix that mentality, results like this will keep happening. Now, to see people, fans online calling for Mason's head, why? It's pointless, ridiculous. It's 9 games in. Yes, some games haven't looked fantastic. Other games have looked fantastic. But to call for Mason's head is just it's ridiculous, bonkers, out of this world. Do we just want to be a team that goes around the manager merry-go-round, sacking and hiring, sacking and hiring, sacking and hiring? Or do we want to give a young manager a chance to grow, develop, and potentially be a really good manager? Because we know he can be. But he just needs to learn and learn quick. And I know we're not the sort of team to be giving apprenticeship roles out to managers, but we need to try something different. We've tried it all. We've tried Valerian Ismail, who did really well. We've tried Steve Bruce, who was, the godsend when he first came and then was awful. Carlos Corberan, fantastic manager. The Valencia job come along. Then we got Tony Mowbray back and it was awful. Just give a young guy a chance. 9 games into the season, the only 2 real poor games I would say is this one and Borough. And that's the only 2 games this season where I say we've looked awful. Give him time. Let's not fucking rush into the manager and start hitting him. To summarise that, poor selection, players not interested, no commitment, letting Millwall play their game, conceding soft goals because we can't do the basics, subs too late, goalkeeper error, and not a single real effort on target. The effort on target, I'm not even in the class because it was basically a pass to the keeper. Absolute rubbish from the start to the finish. And to the fans that made the trip down to the Den, they deserve an apology. They deserve a reaction because for me, that was unacceptable. As I say, I want to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I love reading from them all. I like seeing we also all interact. Don't forget to subscribe. And yeah, it's International Week now, so a bit of a more chilled format this week. Icon Wednesday will be returning. So stay tuned for that, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Bye-bye, guys.